Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? Wednesday in the house, talking Detroit Lions right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Another tough loss. I'm sure a lot of you guys had lots of good food, lots of good family time. Unfortunately, we did not get overall the type of football we got. There were glimpses, there were fun moments in this game, which we'll get to. But Grifka, let me introduce you off the top. Grifka, how are you, buddy?
Oh, man, sorry. Just still kind of lethargic over all the turkey and stuffing and potatoes I had last Thursday. Just, oh, gosh. But, you know, I'm just still pretty tired. So, but other than that, I'm doing okay.
Grifka, you probably didn't hear my bit on the fantasy football flavor because you don't support anything else we do other than when you're on the show. But I mentioned, what do you think the sales are for pumpkin pie any other month other than November? Probably like 0.
Yeah, well, you really don't see them like, you know, maybe around Christmas time too. You can see them, but I don't think they're nearly as high as they are at Thanksgiving. But I love me some pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie is good, but I'm serious. It does not exist other than this holiday and this month. Like, do you ever hear anybody in your family or a friend say, you know what I could go for right now in July? A pumpkin pie. Like, never, never, ever. It's like a 1-2 week dessert at best, but it is damn good when you have it. So I kind of joked about that on the Fantasy Football Flavor Show, where we talk fantasy football on Mondays here, and we're going to be transitioning that show. I know me and you talk about it and will in the off season, but I'm going to go full draft, Grifko. When fantasy football clears up here in a few weeks, I'm going to start breaking down the draft, doing player profiles, and just spending, 20, 30 minutes plus with the people talking NFL drafts. That's my plan with that Monday show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you're right. Come fantasy football, that's it's hard to talk about in mid-May. So
and I'll get to talk draft without you arguing with me, telling me you know more than me, like us getting a bunch of battles. I'll just get to talk draft and have the people enjoy. That'll be nice.
Yeah. That'll be fun. That'll be fun getting listen to yourself talk and pat yourself on the back. So just don't hurt your arm doing that, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait. Speaking of that, let's have a little fun right off the top here before we get into. We got some fun topics we're going to talk about here before we get into the Turkey Day game review. But Grifka, I think it's time for a couple Carusos to kick off the show. It's been a while. Are you ready for a couple of these?
Yeah, it has been a bit, so I'm looking forward to this.
I did one ahead of time, and I literally just thought of one as we've been chatting, so I'm going to do a double dip for you right here. Ready?
Yeah.
Well, Griff, I guess you could say this loss was another tough one to bear. Double dip, back to back. Well, Griff, I guess you could say the quarterback for the Bears is a real son of a Mitch.
I think I like your first one better, but the second one wasn't as bad. The second one was okay. First one was better, though.
I knocked Mitch Trubisky. You didn't like the second one? I mean, that's your guy. You love calling him Mitch. I turned it on its ear. I put it at the end. I made fun of him. You didn't like that one?
Yeah, I think I like the first one a little better though. He is a son of a
All
bitch though.
All right. Well, like say, I gotta remember to sort of incorporate these. It was fun. We were putting them out on Twitter, and people were doing them. I had to coach them up. Even my delivery. Sometimes I'm trying to figure out how to nail it, but those are fun to do. Grifka, let's get into some news and notes, some things going on with our team. Before we get down to kind of who's hurt, who's going on IR, who they've brought up, who they've signed, I got a big picture type item for you. So again, chatting on Twitter with the fans, and I kind of put out there that I think I mentioned it here on the show, but one thing that really, as optimistic as I am and as much as I want to, another year or so for this regime, kind of see where they're at. One thing that's always worried me is when you hear Bob Quinn say things like, I'm really familiar with looking for this type of player. I wasn't familiar with the other types of players he's trying to scout. They're trying to build the big linebacker type setup, all these different elements that kind of mirror how the Patriots have won over the past decade or so. So I put out there that one thing that worries me is like, are we building a team that was like the up and coming type squad in regards to players, scheme, organizational build that worked 10 years ago? Or is this just a tried and true endless formula that never can fail? So I'm worried a little bit that, are we on the back end of a trend, or is this trend just always work? So like scheme and what we're building as an organization versus today's NFL. And people were like, oh no, Seattle's ground and pound. They like to split it, pass and run. Look at what San Francisco's doing. And I kind of said, like, there are teams that can play that, what we like to call that old school football. They can build these really tough, big type football teams, and there's teams that are throwing it around the yard. They're passing it a bunch. They're kind of have these little speed players. They're not looking for the big bulky linebackers. They're not looking for, these, pedestrian receivers. They're looking for guys that could take the top off and score big touchdowns. So I wanted to kind of bat it back and forth with you. Like, do you think this is going to end up working, or do you think we're going to look back like we did with Captain Rod, where he was trying to run the Tampa 2, where the Tampa 2 had been expired? It was over and done with, and everybody had moved on except for our head coach, because I kind of lean the other way, where I think we can, Matt Pat's smart enough to bring in some new concepts, bring in some good coaches, but also, like, football is football. If you line up and smash people, if you're better executing, it's not brain surgery. You could win both ways. So what's your thoughts on all that?
I think the part of it is, like, defense wise, they kind of say was you should build your team about like what you go against. So if you're building, like you said, those big linebackers that are kind of slow and plotting, but they can, you're really good at stuffing the run, but you're in a conference full of teams that just like go out there and have a bunch of, quick little fast guys, and they don't run the ball an awful lot. I think you're going to have mismatches an awful lot. And I'm not quite for sure if that's what the Lions have going in this conference. And it seems like the Green Bays, the Minnesotas, the Bears, each one of them still kind of want to run the ball simply because you almost need to, even though two of the stadiums are indoors in the wintertime. But, you still might have to go. We look at the schedule and say, oh, we got Green Bay in December. Oh, we got Chicago in December. And you still need to run the ball on those really cold, windy days. So I think that might work in this conference somewhat. It doesn't help when you guys have quarterbacks that can scramble and, kind of break free. I'm not talking like a Lamar Jackson type, but I mean, for as much as I hate Aaron Rodgers, the guy does scramble pretty good and seem to get out of pressure that way. And, but it seems like Kirk Cousins is kind of like a statue back there. They don't ask him to really scramble and move. And my boy Mitch, he doesn't seem to really do that either. So I think he might be building what's right for this conference, but I don't know if the scheme itself is working right. They need one more two pieces on that defense, especially a pass rusher to put some constant pressure on those guys. Offense-wise, I don't believe they're behind the curve. Offenses work, either way, depending on, if you have the right coach to, fit its players, or if you just got the talent to kind of run whatever and you can kind of mix and match. Most good coaches, I believe, will, tailor their offense to what players they have. And I think Darrell Bevell's done that pretty well, considering all the injuries the offense has had, running back wise, quarterback wise. The offensive line has been kind of, relatively healthy. There's guys missing here and there, but still, the offense seems to be producing even with Driscoll and, Blau under center.
Yeah, my side, like you were talking about the defense, building it for the conference type of thing. I thought about that as well, and it seems like for the last, I don't even know how many years, probably 7-8 years, we've had one of the better quarterback conferences in the league, even going back to, Cutler was playing decent ball for a while there in Chicago. We had Stafford, Aaron Rodgers has been there for a decade plus now, but we never have had good corners ever. And it's like you might want to get corners when you're in a league with 4 good quarterbacks, or a division with 4 good quarterbacks. So I think there's something there about matching up or trying to, like in college football, they're trying to sort of win the conference, and get to that game. And people always talk about in the NFL wanting to win your division, the old school NFC Norris division, we're trying to win that. It's been about, 20 some years now, however long it's been, where we haven't sniffed the division title or that home playoff game that we want. But I guess my thing is just, it's really old school talk. Like, I guess it sparked me too. I was listening to Paul Pasqualoni, who you referred to as
Mother Goose, baby.
Which I think I started, but you've obviously taken that to a new extreme. So Mother Goose had the glasses down around the tip of his nose, and he's sitting there talking. And like the things he says, again, to me, it's like if you want to sit around and have a cold one with an old school football guy, like, and your grandpa, that's a head coach somewhere, like that's what he sounds like to me. Like the things he says sort of make sense. They sound like the same conventional things you hear a lot of the time. It feels like he's probably putting in decent amount of work, or when they sit around the table and talk about defense, he probably sounds good. But yet there's other really aggressive coordinators that I think are just thinking differently, bringing different things to the table, where this guy said the same old stuff, and they asked him about the defense, and he kind of said, this goes back, however many years he said since he's been coaching, and it felt like you don't want antiquated ideas, whether you're in a business, a football team, even in life, you sort of want to be developing. And I felt like his idea, and even he was saying him and Matt Pat agree or see everything the same, is kind of like, you can't be as smart as Matt Pat is and be totally lost in the 1950s. Now, when I said football is football, there's something about lining up and being better than the other people and being able to move other bodies and being able to play fundamentals and not kill yourself with penalties. All these things we'll get into when we get to the Turkey Day review and what's been killing this team. But you also can't line up like you're in leather helmets when there's other teams that are going out there and spreading you out 5 wide, running trick plays, running aggressive offenses. I think there's something to be said, which is why I think Darrell Bevell has done so good on the offensive side of the ball, because he has brought some of that to the table of things we haven't seen in a while, being able to use what he has, being able to sort of play a pretty decent new NFL game. Now, is he high flying all over the place? I don't think so. So I think the Lions are right there, but I think in the next year or so, whether it be that defensive coordinator quote unquote switch or Matt Pat taking over that side of the ball, but being innovative and aggressive, like, I think they got some work to do there, because I think if you think you're going to play 1980s football in today's NFL, it's going to be hard to beat those high flying teams, or teams like you always hit on that either have the edge when it comes to, NFL value, referees, whatever the case is. Like, you've got to do things that just beat them outright. And like right now, I think we're a few steps behind where I like them to be in regards to what they're building, as well as let's keep being progressive on both sides of the ball. Let's be aggressive more so than passive. I think that's what it's going to take to get over the hump over the next couple of years.
Yeah, just to kind of, piggyback on your question that when you're posing it to me, it's just like, do we always seem like a step behind? It always seems like the Lions bring in like they went and got Mariucci when everybody kind of figured out the West Coast offense, and that's kind of what he ran. He
Right.
kind of ran Bill Walsh's offense, and like you mentioned Ron Marinelli, but even Schwartz, like he brought in the Tampa 2 with a wide 9.
Wide 9,
And, and it seemed like a lot of teams had figured out how to defeat the wide 9, but that's what we ran. And I mean, I understand. I mean, you go with the girl you brought with. I understand all that. But while other teams are innovative and they kind of like push the envelope to make offenses score more points, or defenses to be more aggressive, it always seems like you're right. We're always just kind of stuck like one or two cycles behind, and it's just it seemed to be that way even since I was a kid. I mean, I hate to say it, and I know you kind of poke fun at me, but I'll bring up like the quarterback draft. Was it the '83 quarterback draft? With like, I mean, it, Dan Marino and John Elway and all that. I mean, the Lions took a fullback in the first round. They took James Jones, a fullback. I mean, really? I mean, was anybody really pounding the fullback? And I mean, even at that point, the 49ers had switched over to the West Coast, and yeah, they had a fullback, but Roger Craig was getting a lot, and they were still, nobody was running the ball with a fullback. Everybody was using their tailback at that point. The days of, Larry Zonker were gone, but for some odd reason, the Lions felt it necessary to go take a fullback in the first round to continue with their ground and pound offense. I mean, it's just stupid. And it just seems they've been doing that way forever. And I realize it's different coaches, different times, but like you said, we just always kind of seem like a step or two behind. Like we discovered something that, was, in vogue, 20 years before that. And we're like, hey, this is awesome all of a sudden. It's like, yeah, that's why nobody runs it anymore. So same reason why nobody in the pros runs the wing T anymore or anything like that. So
Grifka, I know you're up on all the hip lingo, yo, but it's like we, instead of us getting the new hotness, like we get the old hotness. That's not hot anymore. You know what I mean? When are the Lions going to get the new hotness, the new thing that's trendy, the new thing that everybody hasn't even thought of yet? That's like, oh man, I don't know why you're wearing that hat, but then like in 2 years that hat's the thing. Like that's kind of what we got to get going, and I'm there with you. Like Mooch is a good example. Captain Rod, Schwartzy's D. It's like we're 3 years behind where everybody else is, and by the time we get what they had, it's over and done with. They're on to the next thing. But people, like I say, will say tried and true. Like I'm sure now looking back, you hated that, but I guarantee there were people in your old school example before I probably even cared about Lions football whatsoever that were like, yeah, let's pound the football. Let's play old school ball. Let's get in there. We'll get that guy and he'll make us a road grading type football team. And then you find out later that that's really not where the game is anymore. That doesn't make as much sense. So I don't think this is like red alarm that we're just back in, 3-4 stages behind where we need to be, but I think it needs to be talked about. It needs to be considered of, hey, in a year or two, if this doesn't work, you're looking back going, look at some of the things we did that was great in 06 or even 2010. But as we moved into 2020, 2021, like you missed it. It's gone. Everybody's moved on to other stuff. Everybody's doing new aggressive things. And instead we were trying to play ball control and, trying to just play conservative D when now you got to sort of be more aggressive a lot of times. And there's always examples on both sides that work. That's what makes me laugh about Twitter. Every time I put something out, somebody comes back with a counterpoint. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, there's always examples of this, that, or the other if you want to prove your point. But I'm just saying in general, like, let's get ahead of the curve and let's be the innovators, not the replicators. That's what I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, just a compound, sorry to, beat a dead horse, but, I bring up that, that quarterback draft again. And, we can discuss all this on another show, which we might end up doing, teaser, not talking Friday, but, somewhere around draft time. I mean, the Lions could have had one of those, everybody's like, gosh, you could have had Marino. Yeah, you couldn't have had Elway. You weren't in that position to draft, but you could have had Jim Kelly. You could have had Dan Marino. And, and we could have changed our offense at that point. I mean, we didn't have to run Billy Sims 1,000 times a game, and we could have been more of a pass-happy offense with those guys playing in a dome, So, like you said, we could have innovated our offense at that point. Instead, they took a fullback, like you said, to ground and pound. And, it's one of those things that could just totally change the history of a team right there. So, once again, folks, just kind of teasing something. That might be something we do around draft time, what could have been drafts and what we had in place at the time. Because if y'all remember we could have Dan Marino or Jim Kelly, but we were sitting on Eric Kipple and Gary Danielson. So there you go, guys.
And we're going to move it forward, but one counterpoint to this whole thing we've been talking about is right as I became sort of a moved from hockey and basketball, which are my sports, to kind of getting to enjoy the Lions, and then ultimately love the Lions and have football be my number one sport and everything. Is I feel like the one time the Lions did try to get ahead of the curve and might have overthought and kind of had it right, but just missed on players, was one Matthew Millen went and took 3 wideouts in a row. Had he got Andre, had he got DeMarcus Ware, had he got another wideout that was a stud, better than Roy Boy, like he actually was taking offensive skill before that really took off. And that, man, had you got the right people in place, that might have been the high flying, team that we had kind of hoped for with, again, another signal caller other than Joseph Harrington, maybe. But so, like you say, sometimes you get ahead of the curve and you just screw it up. And other times you sit there and think you're going to play old school ball, and it's just not where the game is anymore. So interesting to keep an eye on. Like you say, I'm really hoping this regime sort of meets in the middle there, where they can still play the fundamentals of football, but they can also push the limits to make sure that we want to be a hard team to deal with every Sunday. When it comes to, man, we got to fear this guy, or, oh man, they're going to come in and drop 40, or, man, our quarterback is just dead to rights if he doesn't get the ball out. And right now I can't hang my hat on any of those things. So Grifka, let's move through these next two pretty quick. I don't want you to bang on this guy for the next 10 minutes, but TJ Hawkinson went on IR. He, had limited numbers, more so in the range you said. Obviously, he's missing the last few games, but you've seen my frustration over the year with how he was used, his drops, his lack of intensity, in my opinion, in some areas. He goes on IR. Your boy, the outlaw, Jesse James, as well as a guy I'm sort of interested. I know they're using him both special teams and more as an H-back, but I'd like to see a few flashes here or there, maybe from Isaac Nada. And the tight end position, Logan Thomas has been getting a lot more snaps than any of us really expected throughout the year. So any thoughts on Hawk or the tight end position?
It's bad that he went on IR. I mean, I know, like you said, I hate him for stats. I hated the pick, which I'm still not happy about the pick. I'm never happy to see a first-round pick go on IR, no matter, what you think, how I feel about it. But, I mean, like you said, his stats were kind of, what I kind of predicted. I still couldn't see. I mean, he might have gotten, in the next 4 games, maybe where he was at, maybe like another 100, 150 yards with maybe a touchdown or 2. But I hope he comes back and produces, like the names I'm always dropping, Tony Gonzalez, all the guys you're always kind of making me fun, making fun. I hope he comes back and does that. The position as a whole, I mean, I like you said, I don't know what Jesse James' problem was, because I always thought in Pittsburgh he was a decent tight end. I just always thought they had a whole lot of other talent. That's why he wasn't getting the ball. But I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those things like, that's why he was not getting the ball, because he is what he is. And I guess he kind of fooled us. And Nada, I've seen him line up. I hope to see him do a little something. I know we always groused about his speed, but it seems like they got him playing some fullback down near the goal line and in short yardage situations as well. I'm not quite for sure how great of a blocker he is, but I guess I'd rather see him line up at his natural position as opposed to like throwing him out there in the fullback role. So.
Yeah. Here's my quick couple things on that. When it comes to Nada, I mean, again, he tested terrible at the combine. There's a couple things like that are somewhat red flags. I feel like, we maybe more so than others kind of let Bob Quinn get away with that comment that I watched more tape on anyone than Tease Tabor. And then not only did he bust out quick with the Lions, he hasn't latched on anywhere else, and he just couldn't play at the NFL level. That's the biggest red flag against Bob Quinn's, like, not only his scouting, but also like just his, I don't know, to me it was like, what? Like, really? You watch more tape on this guy, and what else are you doing? With all these other players you're taking. I mean, obviously he's hit on some, he's missed on some, but that was just an odd comment to make. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because Darrell Bevel said that Isaac Nada has the best hands in the draft from the tight end position, and he took a tight end at number 8. And then he beat up the tight end. He took it 8, saying, "Oh, he's okay, or he needs to kind of be more consistent, or we're hoping for more from him." And Isaac Nada, practice squad cut, hasn't done anything, and now when you do bring him up, this guy's supposedly got these great hands, and you're running him like he's a Mike Allstott out there. I mean, what do we do? Like, when they make these comments, I'm just thinking, well, why would you come out and say he has the best hands when you just took a guy high, and he hasn't made any plays for you. All I did was see him drop footballs in training camp, when we were there. Every time I think I went twice, he probably had 5 drops in those 2 days and he barely would get the football. When he did, he was missing seam balls. So I don't know. I mean, the tight end position, and I heard somebody say today, Jesse James, worst free agent signing in football. Regards to money, production, just usage. I mean, I couldn't argue it, to be honest. So anyway, let's keep it moving. The last thing I had here before the break, Kabinda, I believe is how you pronounce it. Linebacker, got him from Oakland. He played at Penn State. There's some buzz about this guy. He kind of had some good showing on Hard Knocks. They showed his mom all the time. He made some plays. Then he got, I think, either released or maybe we picked him up off the practice squad there in Oakland. I can't remember. He's just sort of been sitting around on our practice squad, but obviously we've had some kind of somewhat issues at linebacker, even though, I'm on the different side of the coin than you on that. I was excited to hear him come up. I was hoping it was between him and Travis Fulgham to bring Kabinda up. To me, as a guy that can sort of help you on special teams. Hopefully he gets some actual defensive snaps too, because I know kind of just his profile in general is a guy that can come downhill, get off blocks, sideline to sideline, tackle you. Again, he's not a good coverage guy. He gets kind of over instinctive at times, but I think that I just kind of like what I saw from him. He's a freak athlete and a heavy hitter. And if we can find a way to use him, I mean, again, this is another example of we already have some guys that are sort of heavy hitters, shoot and go, get off, make tackles type of guy. We still need that coverage guy as well as a bendy guy off the edge that can get after the quarterback. But any thoughts on Kabinda or just sort of bringing up some of these young guys to finish out the year here?
Yeah, I think right now at this point they're just kind of bringing up guys to finish them up the year. If anybody really gets kind of nicked and dinged that they're trying to, save for next year, say, Jared Davis, Christian Jones, this is going to be one of those guys that just kind of goes in and takes snaps for him, since obviously, the season, there's nothing really to play for besides pride. We're down to the old cliche play for pride type thing. But, if a guy even, sort of gets, a hangnail, they're going to pull him out. That's what he's here for. Get stuff on tape. Maybe he could be around here next year, like you said, to be the guy to help more on special teams. Maybe, I don't know, take the place of somebody, like a Killebrew or Reeves Maben, guys that we'd like to see more of. But obviously the coaches are just kind of looking to, see some other guys as well. So that's one when I saw it, I'm just like, oh, okay. I wasn't like, oh gosh, awesome, great, we got another one. But like you said, he kind of does what our linebackers do right now. It doesn't seem to be anything really different.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll get into this game review, but lots of rookies up. Some rookies showing some things, whether it's lots of guys that I think we can build on, as well as get them some PT, some that we'll talk about later in the show, as well as on Friday as well. So, Grifka, let's take a break for our sponsor. We come back, we're talking Turkey Day. And Grifka, I'm going to kind of take this game to task. I took some notes. I couldn't watch it the way I wanted because of my family, which, again, I love them. But I don't love watching Lions when they're all around because they're trying to talk to me. My uncle is taking pot shots at the Lions. The Lions are doing Lions stuff, which is playing great and then crumbling down the stretch. I'm trying to eat my turkey and stuffing and just thinking, is this happening again? Is this on rewind? So I went back, I watched it. I took some scribbled notes here. We'll see what we can chat about, but lots to talk about in this football game. So take a quick break. We'll be right back. Everybody, we're back in the house. Turkey Day. I hope you had a great one. We're here to talk about the Chicago Bears in Ford Field, the Lions. Grifka, before we can get in this review, The gray jerseys, I mean, you knew I was going to bring this up. The minute I saw this, I knew it was a bad day. Just like when I see the aqua blue pants. Can we just stick with the good throwbacks on Thanksgiving? Is that hard to do? Rod Wood, what are you trying to sell? A couple more jerseys at the pro shop? Like, everybody knows on Thanksgiving, we wear the throwbacks, the silver helmets, the block numbers, the blue jerseys. Like, it's not that hard to do. It really isn't. So the gray jerseys suck. I think there's like a 5 or 7 year window where you have to keep jerseys once you make them. The minute that's up, get rid of these. These are the worst. The worst jerseys maybe in the whole league.
I wouldn't go that far. I like them a lot better than those black jerseys. And gosh, I hated those black jerseys. And people were like, bring them back to make they're cool. No, they're not. Everybody puts a black jersey out there. Doesn't make you any tougher. Doesn't make you any better football team. I mean, give me a break. But I do like the Battleship gray ones. I guess we're looking for different colors here on them, more so than those black jerseys. But you're right. I did miss the throwbacks. That is one of my favorite uniforms that the Lions wear. It's actually one of my favorite uniforms in the league. I'm not just saying that as a Lions fan. Even if you look at other publications, people rate that as probably one of the best throwbacks out there, kind of tucked behind like the Chargers one, the Chargers powder blue, and the old Raiders one and stuff like that. But still, I was hoping to see those, and then they came out in those whatever you want to call them, Battleship gray, or like how the Pistons wear like those gray ones. They call them chrome. It's like, dude, that's not chrome. Chrome's shiny. So yeah.
You know what I call them, Grifka?
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Those are the worst, man. And I know that we're talking football, we got lots to get to, but for all you knuckleheads out there that are somewhat Piston fans calling for the teal jerseys to come back, are you kidding me? This is Detroit. I see people all the time oh, remember these are so sweet. The teal jerseys with the Fugazi Mustang Piston logo. I mean, are you kidding me? Those were the worst. Oh, yeah. We got to get our jersey game on point here in Detroit, man.
Those
all
teal
right.
ones are funny.
Brutal, man. So let's get this thing going. So Grifka, I sit down. This is the thing too. We're supposed to have turkey starting at or gathering at 11. So I'm like, all right, cool. We'll get it to my aunt's house at 11. Kind of settle in, say my hellos, and give them the same dumb 3 questions I get from everybody. And then by noon, 12:30, I'll be ready for kickoff with hopefully a plate of food. Instead, my family decides late in the game, oh, we're gonna meet over at your aunt's at 2. And so I'm like, all right, well, I guess I get to watch a good majority of the game, if not all of it, and just show up a little bit later. So I sit down watching the game at my grandparents' house for a little bit after I cleaned up in washers, by the way, Grifka. I think I didn't even lose the game all holiday break. I mean, you know how that goes when I beat you down, right?
Yeah, it's amazing how you beat a guy at Washers who's played 3 times, but it says something when you played against the only other family that plays them, you guys. So I will give you credit.
My grandma.
Even though you did tell me the story about your uncle who was the closer. I really want to meet that guy. So
he thinks he's the closer. The guy didn't score barely any points the whole game, yet he's yakking. I had to tell him what's up. And then my grandma, true to form, as you made fun of her, I think, on the show, she showed up quality again and took me right to the brink. Had to beat her 21-19, but oh my goodness, the lady is tough as nails. Anyway, so I sit down after again being washer champ, and the game is on. Kickoff, my grandpa sits down in his chair. He starts sort of chatting with me, which again, I love talking with him, but it's kind of once the game's on, I'm sort of in my zone. So we're chatting a bit, but I'm trying to watch. He sits there and the Bears go right down the football field, bing, bam, boom, throw a slant route to Allen Robinson. He just walks in the end zone. I don't know where your boy slays, playing off coverage inside the 10, then makes no effort to even play the ball or make a tackle. My grandpa just gets up out of his chair. He's done for the day. He's seen enough. So it didn't take him long there. But you got anything to say for your boy Slay? We know you shook his hand, but that's embarrassing.
Yeah, that wasn't
terrible.
That wasn't a very good call there. I didn't like that call, and it was just kind of one of those, kind of like a noggin scratcher, just gee, it's gonna be like this. But no, I mean the Lions were getting the ball back, so I'm gonna hang around and see how Blau is gonna be.
Yep. So like I said, I'm disappointed by the start, but I'm kind of just sitting there hoping that, I just don't know what to think of Blau at this point. I watched some YouTube on him and just sort of you see the flashes, you see he can move and throw it a little bit. He went to Purdue, he beat Ohio State, all those things people will tell you. So sure enough, he comes in the game, kind of has two rough plays, a missed throw, and I think just a run up the middle like the Lions do every other play. And then next thing you know, he uncorks a 75-yard touchdown to Kenneth Galladay. I mean, this was big time. Where's one of your favorite drops on the show? I mean, the minute this was let go, oh gosh, where is he? Oh man, I can't find it. I was going for Rod Allen, but anyway, woo-wee on the 75-yard touch to Kenneth Galladay uncorked this one. You had to like that play.
Oh yeah, I was surprised. It just always seems like they teams will be like, oh, we got this string quarterback in. They're going to want to try to play it close to the vest. Don't let the quarterback, he's in his first start. Don't, get his confidence shaken by doing that. But then, like you said, they have those first two plays. And I'm like, oh, gosh, it's going to be this where, it's 3rd and long and they're going to run like a 5-yard dump pass to the running back out of the backfield and instantaneously tackle, then have to punt the ball back. But that's what I mentioned it before. Bevel's kind of keeping this offense, going no matter who's in there. It's like he's not caring about the playbook. It's just like you go in there and run the same passes that we were running with Stafford and Driscoll. So I loved the call. I mean, it was amazing, and obviously took the Bears off. Caught the Bears off guard as well.
Woo! There it is. Yeah, I mean, it was a nice play. I mean, I'm not going to give a ton of credit to the throw because it's kind of like up and out. Prince of McGuire just sort of bit on something wide open, got the ball to him and just ran into empty end zone. You love those plays, but, when they're schemed up and when they work and when they're wide open, you can only give so much credit. But 7-7 at that point. The one thing I like early in the football game I wrote here on my notes was I do love the Lions play action game. I feel like this whole year we've had a lot better. We still haven't had a great run game, but there's been a lot of like show it to the running back, get deep in your drop, uncork some deep balls as well as some big crossing routes, things like that. I mean, I think the better run game we can get, the more effective that will even be. I did put here that Blau can move around well in the pocket. You saw that early in the game where he got back there pretty shifty on his feet, as well as just those active movements, I call him, in the pocket, where he's not just standing there statue and letting the pocket crumble around him. He was getting proactive and getting out of there and making throws. So I thought those were two good things I noted here kind of early in the game, and he showed that throughout, I think.
Yes. I'm sorry. Was there a question there? It didn't sound like a question. I thought you were making a statement.
I was just leaving it out there, but we'll keep it moving. One thing I had here before we get to the next thing, because the Lions went up 14-7 on a pass from Blau to Marvin Jones, kind of a nice drive. On that drive, they went 10 plays, 78 yards, over 5 minutes of clock time. Nice little cross route, which a lot of teams run nowadays. It seems like the new hotness in the NFL, all these cross routes, you'll see a few get called back for picks, but this was one that just broke wide open, pretty easy throw again, but nice to see the Lions get on the board 14-7. One thing, I can't remember if he made a play or if this was just something I wanted to throw at you. Here's a question, Grifka, so be ready to actually enlighten us with your response here. I wrote down McKissick with the greater than sign, Theo with a question mark. Like, where are you at with McKissick? Do you think he has been better than Theo these past couple years? Do you miss what Theo brought to the team? Do you think this team would be better with Theo had we kept him? I mean, been some kind of odd moves in the running back room across the whole season, but I kind of like what I see from J.D. McKissick, and he's still got some upside and some years on him, light contract, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think at this point in their careers, I think McKissick is better than Theo, but I think McKissick is just Theo 5 years ago. And they're pretty much the same player because they used to run that same stuff with, Theo Riddick when he was here. That little dump pass out in the flat, and he would kind of do that, make a couple moves, make a couple guys miss, and get those, and when they needed 7 yards, he'd catch the ball at 3 yards and get the last 5 yards himself for the first down. That's what I think McKissic does as well. But I don't know if you were taking them, at their tops of their games, I don't know if McKissic is better than Theo. I think they're kind of equal. I wouldn't call Theo was leaps and bounds better than him. I think they're more kind of the same guy. It's just that, age. McKissic's younger, cheaper. I think right now, McKissic's a better pick than Theo.
Yeah, I'm going to be real curious to see what they do with this running back room moving forward. I got a question we may get to Friday or something I want to bounce off you in regards to that. But let's keep this moving. I'll work through my notes and throw you a couple softballs as I normally do on the show. So 14-7, I do have a big note here after the Marvin touchdown. Again, one of the greater Detroit Lions celebration where you start carving up the football, handing out slices of the football, and then gnawed at the football like it was a big old turkey leg, which we did have at my family Thanksgiving. There was the plate of the carved dark turkey and the light turkey, and there was 2 big turkey legs, and I was like, oh, I just want to be a hog and just grab that whole turkey leg and just eat that. But I didn't. I just took a couple pieces of meat with my stuffing and whatever else I had that day. But Marvin gnawing on the ball like it was a turkey leg was a highlight for me. Right after that, Grifka, the Matt Prater booms it off the guy. This is something I've hit on for a while, and I don't know where you're at with it, but I've always, these teams can't do onside kicks anymore. They blame the rules. They blame all this. I've seen this executed a few times over the years. It's a great onside kick to just bang it off the guy in front of you, or to try to kick it as hard as you can at someone and see if it'll hit a body part and if your guys can get on it. Much better than the stupid 2 small bounces, 1 big bounce that either always goes out of bounds or right to the other team. Loved it. I was like, man, finally, we're getting aggressive again with nothing on the line. Let alone do I hear from, I think it was your boy Dave Burkett after with his incredible reporting, since he's not working on his next Calvin Johnson piece for the paper, that this was a total mistake and that, Matt Prater just missed the kick and it happened to nail the guy and we got on the football. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't know why more teams don't do that, at certain points. Just try it. And I know it's always well, if they don't get it, the other team's in great field position. And yeah, it's like you just said, it's we seem to do all this stuff when nothing's on the line, the fake play we ran against, the Packers last year for the touchdown. It's just, it's kind of mind-boggling. It's just, I'm like, gosh, what a great move. And like you said, if they're trying, it was just a fake, but Troy Aikman said, breaking it down, he goes, I don't think it was a miss hit, because look at the guys on the other side. They were actually kind of running that way right from the start. And I realize, they're athletes and they're quick to adjust. And it's oh no, it's kicked this way, we're going to run. But it looks like they were running that way. So to say it was a mistake, I don't know. I think they might be trying to play that now. That way the Lions can maybe use it later. I'm not saying this year, but maybe next year. But that was pretty cool. I was when it happened, they got him. Oh, what a great call! I thought to myself, and then you tell me about your boy Dave Burkett writing that that expose about how it was just a miss hit. I was like, well, that's kind of crap.
Grifka, so we have to do this quickly as part of the show. Cue it up, everybody. So you're telling me, Grifka, with the conspiracy music in the background, that you think this was on purpose? We got it. They asked the kicker after. He blatantly says, no, I just screwed it up and accidentally missed. I was trying to kick it deep and I low hit it right into the guy so that they can run it later, is your thoughts. You think this is a 3-level type conspiracy on a stupid thing like an onside kick in a game that doesn't matter?
Yes. Wouldn't it just be an amazing thing, though? Just
yeah.
Think about that.
I love how you just discounted Matt Prater. He's thinking 5 steps later. So when he says it was my bad, that's some big thing he drew up, on Wednesday this week. Hey, you know what I'll do? I'll do this kick, but then in the post game, I'll say it wasn't supposed to happen. That way I can pull it out in 2021 again.
Yeah, wouldn't that be pretty cool though? So when it
happens, oh man, I'm killing your music for that.
In a key situation when the Lions are on the road to the playoffs and they do a play like that, and everybody's gonna be like, oh, look, and look right here. Remember when they did that last year on Thanksgiving against the Bears, and was going to be like, oh yeah, that's right. See, I mean, you'll remember it. Listen, Lions fans, you heard it here first, and not from Dave Burkett, who's obviously the ear of the Lions.
They're laying the groundwork early, Grifka. I appreciate the deep conspiracy theory there. Let's keep it moving. 13:40 left. I have here the fumble that wasn't, or was it? Oh my goodness, this another one pissed me off. I think I was in the car at this point because, of course, like instead of the 2:00, all of a sudden, right after kick, like, all right, we're ready to go to your Aunt Jode's. Let's load up. So of course, I throw it on the YouTube TV. For some reason, even though we're in like the heart of Grand Rapids area, I'm getting like barely no signal, or it keeps cutting out on me. All of a sudden, I come back from a break or get my phone to play more video, and all of a sudden, I see this ball. I hear the announcers saying. That was a wrong Griff Cabell. My hand slipped. I hear the announcers going, oh, that ball's out. That looks like a fumble to me. Of course, I see it. I'm like, fumble. I caught it, turned around, got the old Mike Tyson punch out on it. That a boy Coleman. And instead, what is Jerome Boger? And gosh, I don't want to get another 10-minute side tangent, Griffka, but Jerome Boger is the worst. This guy seems like he's got maybe some deficiencies in some certain areas with his speech or just his mental processing, but he comes back and says this is incomplete pass. I mean, between that and all the yellow that was on the ground again in this football game, I mean, I almost threw my phone out the window. This drove me nuts.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I thought it was a fumble as well, but it just, like you said, it's the stuff that happens to Detroit, and I say it all the time.
I didn't say that. That's your bit.
It is my bit, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, considering what everybody on Twitter, like you said, the announcers, and all of a sudden, he didn't make a football move. You mean he didn't take 10 steps down the field, and all of a sudden the ball got punched out? Well, to make it an obvious fumble? Well, I hate that stuff. I mean, it's total crap. I mean, once again, it's the eye test. It was a catch and a punch out. And they're all trying to be like, well, no, he didn't hold the ball for 10 seconds before somebody knocked it out, so it's not a fumble. So. I
just have here in big bold print, the NFL refs are the absolute worst. I mean, that and Lions refs, I mean, I'm sure it's skewed, as you often say here on the show, but this drove me nuts. This was a fumble. Would have been a big play in the football game. We didn't get it. And after the Matt Prater, we do absolutely nothing, just 3 and out right away, basically, and kick it away. So 5 minutes left in the second quarter. Another nice deep ball to Kenny. I have here is a 1st down and 10 on the 14-yard line. Then somehow, I think it was a couple plays later, we have a double pass interference on Kenny Golladay. This was so damn obvious that the guy hooked him with both arms. Of course, Kenny's like kind of on him too because he's trying to get after the football. The guy's got him all tied up. Any other game I ever watch ever, this is a pass interference, and it was in the end zone, so you put the ball on the 1st down. Instead, they come up with a double pass interference, which I think has only happened twice in the eternity of football, and it was both against the Detroit Lions this year, I think. Are you kidding me again? Like, I hate to go on and on or pass it back to you for a 10-minute rant, but this was another crucial play where we got absolutely jobbed.
Yeah, I don't. That's like one of the dumbest calls in the world. Double pass interference. Just like, no, I'm going to push you away so you can't catch the ball. No, I'm going to push you away so you can't catch the ball. What?
Right.
I mean, that's like.
Right.
And the worst part about it is what bugs me even more is like when they call the face mask penalty, on like the defender, when the running back just like sticks his hand out, grabs the other team's face mask and rips it, nothing's called. But then that happened to the Lions, I think, too, where, it happened. It was a face mask, but, look, they grabbed his face mask as well, but just because the other guy's helmet came off, well, your face mask was worse. I mean, no, you're going to call it double pass interference, so at least call it double face mask. But no, that always seems to be called against the defender, so I guess you kind of assume it would be called pass interference on the defender there, but no, a double pass interference? Like, neither one of us want the ball, so we're not going to let you have it. That's the dumbest call in the world.
And if you go back and watch it, there's no way. I mean, if the guy doesn't wrap up Kenny, it's probably a touchdown. If Kenny, has both his arms, he's not flailing trying to get through the guy or over the top of him. Like I watched it multiple times, and every other game in the NFL that obviously goes the offense, that's what they're taught to do is kind of give them the benefit of the doubt on those plays, and to just cop out and call that and redo or whatever they did was just, I mean, it's unbelievable because it doesn't happen in any other games. It's not like, oh yeah, I saw that, 5 times in the last, few weeks of football. Like never. It's just ridiculous. And like I say, Jerome Boger, you are probably the worst. You and that guy we had in Green Bay, what was it? Gosh, I don't remember his name, but you guys are the worst. There's only like one or two refs I actually somewhat like, and they're pretty garbage too. So I put here field goal away, bailed out on the next play. So actually after the double pass interference, we have nothing. Blau throws it away, yet they push our quarterback down, which is another great NFL rule. A push down, if it doesn't happen exactly when you let go of the football, is a 15-yard roughing nowadays. 1st and goal from the 9. And then I just have here field goal that we just stall ourselves out, a couple incompletions, kick a field goal, play conservative. But what do the Bears do? They come right back down the field with only a couple minutes left and get a field goal as well with 22 seconds left. So basically 17 for the Lions, 10 for Chicago, a 7-point lead going into halftime. Says people feeling decent on Turkey Day. I'm put it to you here in a second, Grifka, but let's go ahead and jump forward a bit. So right after halftime, we get the football. What do? Quick punt right away, which always kills our momentum. Soon after that, though, your boy, you shook his hand. Big play Slay finally does what I've been asking for, makes a big play, which he actually slow played it, kind of played behind the receiver, used his speed, darted in front, picked the ball off, had a little run back. I'm thinking, here we go. Next thing you know, 3 and out, basically gave up the football again. Like, any thoughts on the Slay pick and coming out slow again in the second half when we could have put the nail in him at that point, probably?
Yeah, I wasn't happy with the offensive play calling early in the third quarter, and it just seemed like Blau. I don't know if the Bears changed up their defense, because we talked about he got off to a nice hot start, but he seemed to cool after the first few drives, and the momentum seemed to disappear. So I don't know if the Bears switched up a whole bunch of stuff that either confused them, or the Lions were like, changed some of their offensive play calls. I'm not for sure there. The Slay pick, once again, loved it. The Bears were driving, and Slay, like you said, he slow played it. He duked the Mitch into throwing the ball to a guy he thought was wide open, and Slay undercut it and made a nice pick. So, I'm thinking, I thought it was one of those things, like the way the stuff was going, even though the Lions would, had their offense had kind of cooled. I thought, this may be, maybe their day. It is Thanksgiving, it's their day. So I was feeling good at this point.
Yeah, it was tough to start out slow. You can always say they made adjustments, but I think Blau, like people are saying, he played great. I think he played okay. He had some schemed up plays that worked for him. He kind of made a few other plays here and there, but great, I think, is pushing it. I would say he probably was not that
great.
Exactly, but he was decent. I'm kind of looking forward to watching him a couple more games, but I mean, again, we have to get excited about David Blau as our quarterback. That's not that good. So punt by the Lions. I put here flags every play. I mean, it's, again, the games I do for Pro Football Focus, the other leagues, like literally there'll be a few penalties here or there throughout the game. I literally will watch Lions games, even more so but it's becoming an epidemic in the NFL too. And like every third play, there's some type of flag. Half the time it's declined or it doesn't count really. But I swear, these flags this year, I mean, I would have to pull up the numbers, but I got to say there's probably some type of record for flags in 2019 for the NFL. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we're getting down to the end of the game here. I have a touchdown here for the Bears. Just absolutely, I wrote here, dumb catch by somebody nobody's ever heard of. And we get no review to make it 17-7. Like, talk about this play for a second, Griff, because Mitch, your boy, just throws it up. It's actually not the greatest of passes. This no-name tight end, I believe he is, maybe some type of H-back, fullback, dives, fingertip catches, drops it, somehow catches it on his way down, fumbles it through his fingers and legs, somehow makes it catch. Supposedly, the ball looks like it's probably hitting the ground. The announcers aren't sure. There's not even a review. It's just a called touchdown. I mean, I feel like any other game, this is a drop. It bounces off his fingertips. It slips through his hands. Nope, this time he somehow catches it. Or even if he didn't, there's no reason to look at it. We'll just go ahead and confirm the play. I mean, does this drive you nuts or what? I mean, it's not Allen Robinson. It's not, Tariq Cohen making a heck of a play over his shoulder. It's some guy that couldn't even make the XFL. I mean, embarrassing.
What, Hepspur or whatever his name was?
I don't even know. I'm not even worth saying his name on the show.
It was like the second or third catch of the year, and once again, Will Harris was looking really good, not being able to defend the fourth tight end for the Bears. So, but yeah, that was a.
Now hold on. Like we should talk about it Friday, but like I might have a little bone to pick with you on that show. But when you say can't guard this guy, how many times this year, and there's going to be two other plays we're going to talk about right at the end of this game, like the thing I will give the Lions is on all these plays that are like either 50-50 or these lucky plays by other teams, we're almost always right in the hip pocket, but we never get a hand on the ball. We never jar it loose, rarely. I feel like Will Harris is right there, yet somehow he can't get on the football. He can't knock it out after the catch, and it ends up being a touchdown Chicago. So, I mean, I agree with you that he didn't make the play, but he wasn't 4 yards behind the guys right there and just somehow can't get it. It's not the first time. I bet there's about a baker's dozen opportunities this year where a guy's right there in perfect coverage, but a perfect ball, a perfect catch, a lucky play, something beats us. And gosh, it's just got to stop.
I wouldn't call that perfect coverage. Like you said, it's the fourth tight end, and this guy's supposed to have a little bit of coverage skills. So this tight end was able to get beyond him. It's not like he gave him like some awesome move. Will Harris misread the route, and he ended up, behind him. Yeah, he wasn't 4 yards behind him, but he was still behind him. And like you said, Mitch, it wasn't that great a pass, but still the guy made the play. I mean, I guess that's what he gets paid to do. He is a pro football player, and I'm sure that one catch alone will make that guy millions of dollars next year. But yeah, but still, I mean, he wasn't there. He got beat by the fourth tight end. He got beat by Isaac Nauta. I mean, that's pretty much what it was. I mean, you got beat by the fourth tight end.
This guy's first name is Jesper, by the way, Grifka. But my point was that for this whole season of 2019, we've never made the damn play. We're always just missing the play. We're always like there but not there, and that's why everyone hates this team right now. Have we make even half those plays, we probably got 3-4 more wins, and we're not talking about half this crap. But they haven't made barely any of these this year. The only one that we kind of made was a few plays against Philly and against the Chargers, and then we won them both those ball games.
I mean, we made some plays against Kansas City, but I mean, that was just one of those plays where, one of those games we lost. But I mean, we made some plays against Kansas City, some nice fumble recoveries and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just couldn't believe this touchdown catch. So 2 minutes, 50 seconds left. I have here 3rd and 5 for the Lions. Really needed to kind of near midfield, whatever it was. They throw a ball out. J.D. McKissick, who we talked about earlier, maybe the new Theo. He makes a one-handed grab, moves up the field, first down Lions. We flip it over to the fourth quarter, 11:34 left, a 3rd and 1. This was one of those, like, the ball was on the 9. The Bears get called for offsides. It's half the distance, which somehow puts the ball half a yard short of a first down on the around the 4-5 yard line, whatever it was. 3rd and 1. We decide to run the football with J.D. McKissick, which drives me nuts. Then J.D. McKissick has the first down. Instead, he decides to bounce it, which when he did it, it was like I was already standing up going nuts because it was a walk-in touchdown. He goes ahead, as you would say, and gets Kevin Smith, where he gets shoelaced, and he goes down, and he's just slapping the ball, saying, oh, he had it. I'm just saying, get the damn first down. Or then I kept yelling, go for it. Go for it on 4th. Go win this football game. Go put a touchdown on it. What do? Send out the kicker. Another field goal. Like, this is another turning point in the game where I felt like we didn't man up. J.D. McKissick couldn't get his damn feet up another couple inches to score. And this, in my opinion, kind of costs the game as well.
Yeah, and just like you mentioned it before, we talked about it with the not fake onside kick earlier. At this point, who cares? I mean, he got dropped for a 3-yard loss. Who gives a crap at this point? Just go for it. Put some stock in it as opposed to like, oh no, I'll run the field goal out there and I'll look better. I'll be the wise, smart one. You're right. Just man up. I mean, the defense had, kind of, I don't want to say worn down, but was starting to, break a little more in the second half. And still, like you said, they just went out there and settled for the field goal. And I don't know. I was more annoyed with McKissick not, cutting it up there and going for the home run touchdown. But, hand it to Fuller. He made a great play, grabbing his shoelace and, McKissick falling like a sack of crap. And, pulling his best Kevin Smith, oh, no, slapping the ball on the ground. No, I just barely missed it. Well, no, you barely missed the first down when there was a wide opening there, but you saw Fuller running in from the end. You're like, oh, I'm going to try to run to the outside. You're running right at the tackle. It makes no freaking sense. That's the dumbest play in the world.
Detroit Koolaid drinkers.
You move like a half a yard away, like 3 inches away from it. One, you don't run a QB sneak. Two, you don't put your horse back in, who's been running pretty good all day, to leave the short, scat back in there to like, oh, let's run to the outside. That's like, why didn't you just waste your time and run like an end around or something stupid like that? It's just, gosh, that annoys the crap out of me. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and for some odd reason, he wants to take the scenic route to the end zone. What a dumb thing. Just run. Go get the stupid first down. God, don't shake the cheerleader's hand on the way to the sideline. Dumb.
Are you through, Grifka?
It just annoyed the crap out of me. I wasn't even jumping. I was just like, when he broke to the outside, what I saw him break to the outside, all I could think to myself was like, cut it up. That's all I thought. I'm like, cut it up. You can play the clip that drive me bonkers because it's just dumb play. It's just dumb crap like that why the Lions lose. Oh, no, I could have got the touchdown if nobody was standing there. You ran right at Kyle Fuller, for Pete's sake. You got lucky and, tackled you by the bottom of your cleat, but still. If you would have cut it up, you would have got the first down. Gosh, don't bite off more than you can chew. He went back to the buffet too many times and got more mashed potatoes, and he couldn't finish them, and he still wanted to go have his pumpkin pie. I'm like, dude, no, just drives me freaking bonkers. Exactly. It drives me freaking bonkers. Grab a dollop of potatoes, and you still get your pumpkin pie later. No, you want it all at once. Got to carry all the bags in from the grocery store at once, as opposed to making multiple trips. Who cares if you score a touchdown 3 plays later? No, I got to get it now. Idiot.
Grifka, you know what I should have done for this show?
What's that?
I should have just introduced you, said hello to the people, and said, hey, Grifka, what do you think about that play by J.D. McKissick when he bounced it outside? That was pretty awesome, right? And then just let you go for like 30 minutes.
You know who did that all the time, too? Kevin Jones. Like, that guy, he was like supposed to be some workhorse, but that guy always tried to bounce it to the outside like he was at Virginia Tech. It's like, dude, everybody in the pros is fast. What are you doing? Like, there'd be like a hole between, like, in the one gap, and he was still trying to bounce it outside by the tackle. It's like, what the heck are you doing? It's like, gosh. It annoys me, man. Just run forward. I say it all the time. Like, kick returns, punt returns, run forward. And then you show on ESPN, that guy ran 55 yards to get 3 yards. Yeah, because they're idiots. I mean, just dumb.
Grifka, did you say, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. What the hell are you doing?
All right, we got both your phrases in. You talked for about 30 minutes about one little play. It like was said, pretty funny, though.
That was the turning point. If you watch NFL Network, turning points of the game. That was it right there, where they had to settle for 3.
I agree with you, but like I say, we only got so much time in this show, so we're going to breeze through the rest of the game here. 9 minutes, 25 seconds left. Quarter 4, we had a sack by your favorite player and mine, Trey Flowers. This was a heck of a hit. It came at a really needed point where I was saying, let's get off the field. Let's get the football back and go win the damn game. So Trey gets a sack. They punt it to us. We kind of try to get going. I have here Big Bo with a run to the outside. I mean, again, imagine this, a Big Bo Scarborough run comes back due to a flag. These little questionable pushes in the back, or like, again, the NFL refs want to show how smart they are and call every little ticky-tack thing they see. I mean, this is football. You can call holding or a kind of a sideways block on every play. Like this is 3-4 weeks in a row now where Bo has got a 30-yard run taken back, and all he did was get shifty with his feet, get up the field. So that's called back. Next thing you know, the Bears get the football back with 6:30 left, and what do? They just dink and dunk their way all the way down the field, get into our area, and a 3rd and 5. It's 3rd and 5 actually deep in their end. I'm thinking, all right, we're about to stop them again. 3rd and 5. Mitch can't do anything here late in the ball game except uncork like a 30, 40-yard pass perfectly right over Justin Coleman to Anthony Miller, the longest play of the ball game at that point. Soon after, they come down 2:45, so now they milk the clock all the way to 2:45. They're on our side of the football field. A 3rd and 5. Oh, that sounds familiar. Deep ball over top of Justin Coleman to Anthony Miller, which again was slipping through his hands. Think it hit the ground. Didn't look like a good catch. We don't challenge it. We let it go. They get the ball on like the 2 or whatever it is, and on 2nd down and goal, wide open touchdown to Montgomery. I mean, Jared Davis didn't really cover anybody. Nobody covered anybody. I mean, again, how many times the Lions going to get beat close to the end zone where we just cover no one and they just have a walk-in throw to put them ahead? And then, there's time on the clock, but we've been conditioned now to say, okay, we just got beat. They went up. We've got time. We've got timeouts. Well, it's been a year and a half now. We have not converted. So I was not feeling like we were going to come win this game with David Blau at quarterback. But, I mean, I gave you a lot there, Grifka, but it just seems like the Bears just waited till the very end, made a couple more plays than we did, go ahead, and then we just sort of choke it away here at the end.
Yeah, you mentioned my favorite play there because, once again, you mentioned my favorite defensive player on the Lions. Once again, Jared Davis pulled another, hey, you stand right here. I'm going to go blitz the quarterback, and, leaves the guy standing wide open. So, and Montgomery's just, standing there in the end zone. You gave him, a little shoulder shrug or whatever to get but still, that was I don't know, maybe Jared Davis thought he had safety help in the end zone or something, or I don't know who he thought he was leaving him to, but it was another thing. He looked at him. He was on for half a second and said, "Hey, don't catch the ball. I'm going to go blitz the quarterback," and that's what happened there. So, yeah, that was quite annoying on that. And then I'm pretty sure you saw the stat what Mitch has done against the Lions the last 3 games. What he's thrown for 8 or 9 touchdowns the last 3 games he's played them, and over 300 yards or something each game or something like that, or a bunch of yards. So. Once again, every other team's figured out how to beat Mitch Trubisky, but except the Lions. But the Lions could shut down, Pat Mahomes. They just don't know how to stop Mitch.
Oh my gosh, Grifka, we may get into a fight on Friday about that exact thing because you always wait till the very end of the game. You put out imagine this, a negative tweet. I'm still waiting on that one positive, halfway smart, good tweet from you that I've never seen. You wait till the end of the game. You go, made Mitch Trubisky look like a Hall of Famer. Send. And you go back and watch that game.
Didn't he though? It's a true statement.
No, it's not. He played like a pedestrian NFL quarterback who's going to make a few plays here or there. You just look at some stat line.
320 and 3 touchdowns?
Yeah, and go back and watch the game and feel like he's just lighting it up all day. No.
323 touchdowns, pretty good numbers. Anybody's going to take that out of their quarterback. I'm sure they would take it more so than the awesome numbers your boy Battlefield threw against the Steelers on Sunday. I mean, his awesome all-pro numbers.
Oh my gosh. See what I mean, people? And I might call Grifka out too for this terrible character trait he has where he just latches on to a player or two and just waits for them to make a mistake or play bad, and then he just brings it up or takes joy in it. It's everybody knows who they are. It's Odell, it's Baker Mayfield, it's Jared Davis, it's Taylor Decker, it's all these guys. I had to listen to them for 4 hours at the Lions game, go on and on about 2 players, or at the Michigan game about 2 players. That's all you do, Griff, because you latch on to a guy or two you don't like, and you wait for them to suck, and then you just call it out. It drives me absolutely nuts. I could fight with you for 2 shows about just that.
It's not like I'm waiting for just one play and there it is. It happens multiple times to prove that said guy sucks. I mean, so I mean, once again, bring up Taylor Decker, but didn't he have like another key holding call and another false start penalty that put him behind the sticks? Your boy.
I was waiting for you to bring it up because that's all you probably saw during the game. You didn't see the other 4 quarters where he wasn't mentioned. He played good. You just saw that's your character flaw in life, Grifka. All you see are the mess ups.
Oh, that's right.
You don't see anything else.
Because those mess ups happen at like key points of the game. You want to talk about the Lions not making plays when it has to happen. That douchebag, from the Buckeyes, always makes a key play like holding, that negates something good. It's not like, it's like 2 minutes into the first quarter and it's, 2nd and 3 and he has, has a false start for 5 yards. Okay. No, it's always something where something good happens. Oh, there's a penalty flag. The Lions are walking back and there's Taylor Decker, kind of like rolling his eyes like, oh no, caught holding again. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, come on. It happens at key times. You want to complain about like some ticky-tack crap or a Bo, something on Bo happens where his long runs get called back. But, something key happens. I'm usually waiting for the, number 68 to get called because that's generally where it happens at.
Oh my gosh. If you'd like to re-engage a little bit on Friday's show, we can do that because my counterpoint is if you're at work all day and 90% of your work day goes good, but one annoying person comes talk to you, Grifka chalks it up as a terrible day at work where I say, it was a good day, but that moment sucked, or that was annoying right there. And you just focus on the one little thing. You don't say, wow, I had a really good day overall. And that's what drives me nuts is because, again, you do take joy and you love calling it out. Yet when it goes the other way, I don't hear from you. And then you also, like I say, if Taylor Decker was bad for over half the game or whatever it may be, or was a complete mess, like the one game where he was just a debacle, you don't hear me coming on here totally defending him. But when you just sit there and nitpick his 2 penalties or the one time Khalil Mack runs around him, it's gonna happen, and that's my the
one
beef.
Time the best defender runs around him, the guy who he should be blocking, the guy that everybody that defends against, the one time. I mean, come on already. Give me a break.
What do you mean, come on already? Like, when you say he's the best player, you act like every NFL player is supposed to play a perfect game. They're supposed to never mess up, and then you wait to pounce on them the minute they do, especially your whipping boys who you have. And that's what pisses me off is because every game someone's going to make mistakes. And, yeah, when the quarterback fumbles the ball, it looks a lot bigger than when Frank Ragnow misses a block at center because you can't totally see it. When the left tackle screws up, you notice it. When the linebacker can't cover anybody, you notice it, and you just wait to pounce on that kind of crap instead of looking at the bigger picture. Like PFF comes out and say they play a great game. Oh, it doesn't matter. It can't cover anybody. Like you're some expert when all you saw was the one play that the guy got passed in. You didn't see the other plays because he did well. You didn't even notice those.
The one got passed him that went for like a touchdown or something like that. It's not like it got past him and it went for like a 3-yard gain out in the flat. I mean,
how would you know? You don't even see the decent plays. All you see is like this cloud of haze, and then the 4 or 5 bad plays by the guys you don't like. You just have those highlighted in yellow pen.
Everybody, you don't look at the bad. You don't look at the warts. You look past all that. I mean, that's the worst part. If you would step back, I said it to you before. I mean, you were like talking about, Eric Ebron. He's not that bad. I'm like, one day you'll wake up and realize he sucks, and you finally did. And then all these people are like last year, like, oh gosh, Indianapolis is using him. Look, he's in the Pro Bowl. He's all pro. What's he doing this year? Indianapolis, I can't stand him because he's doing the same crap what he done in Detroit. The guy had like a crap, one good year, and everybody's like, oh, see, Detroit, you use him. No, that's just an anomaly. So that's what you do. You look at, oh gosh, I'm always looking at the bright side of things. When you realize when they do something bad that cost them, and then you're going to sit back, oh, the Lions just don't make the plays. Yeah, that's because the guys that you like defend to the hilt are the guys missing on the plays. But you don't bring that up. You're just like, oh, they just missed the plays. Oh, they just missed the plays. I mean, Justin Coleman getting beat like a dusty rug lately, but like you're not going to bring that up. That dude got abused again.
Oh, my God. Justin Coleman, if we go rewind the tape in the first few weeks, what did Grifka say when he was playing good? Hey, Justin Coleman's really punching the ball out, really a good football player.
You're right.
Now he's on your whipping boy list.
The NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. And like he got beat like a drum by Hunter Renfrow. I mean, the slow white wide receiver from Oakland. I mean, come on. I mean, stop looking through everything with like rose-colored glass and thinking like everybody on the Lions is an all-pro.
You stop
They're
looking at
not.
everything like they mess up once and they're terrible football players because they're not. So we're both on the other side of the scale. You want me to be negative on everything, and I want you to actually pay attention to the good plays rather than the bad. It's been 4 weeks since I said, "Hey, Grifka, can you send out one positive tweet about the Lions?" Have you done that? No. Have you seen my tweets where I've called
What have
out
they
TJ
done that
Hawkinson, where I've said the team has been bad, where I've kind of been going back and forth with fans? Do you see me every time just saying, we're going to win the Super Bowl in 2020? No. You see me being objective, critiquing, and also being the Kool-Aid drinker that I like to be, which is, this is my football team. So I'm not going to sit there and just sit on my couch and say, oh, we missed that tackle. What a garbage player. Like, anybody can do that. You know what I mean? That's Monday morning quarterback. That's you saying 12-4, and now when they suck, saying, oh, this team's no good. That's you being the waffle maker.
When a guy continually misses tackles and misses tackling angles, and it's not just once, it's numerous times.
What about the 4 weeks when he played good? What did you say?
Oh,
well, he finally
so
played okay.
Like I said, all of a sudden he has a couple good games, and it's Mike Singletary. Oh God, look at him, he's awesome. Okay,
nobody called him Mike Singletary, but you didn't say one good thing.
For 8 weeks,
you
he
can't.
was the worst linebacker in the league.
God. Go ahead and talk.
For 8 weeks, he was the worst linebacker in the league, rated by PFF. But all of a sudden, oh, you see, he had a good week. He's turning around. He's back. He's great. He's what I thought he would be. Okay, so he had a couple good weeks. Big deal. So, I mean, just because that's what you looked at. It's just like the overall.
The point is, acknowledge it. Grifka, you're pissing me off right now because you're missing the point. The point is, just say those weeks. Say, yeah, I thought Jared Davis played better those weeks, or hey, he made some nice plays. And then when he stinks, I guess you can go back to bashing those few plays that you notice sitting on your lazy boy. I think there's plenty of times on here where guys I defend, I'm kind of like, that was no good.
Wait, this doesn't make any sense.
Of course, it makes no sense to you.
You get mad at me, call me a waffle maker when I do that. Because so you're gonna do that. I'm gonna be like, no, I think he still sucks. But you get mad at me for doing that.
Grifka, you're the waffle maker.
You're coming to his side. You're coming to his side.
No,
I still think he sucks. He had a couple good weeks. He had a couple good weeks, but he's still a terrible linebacker. You know, okay, Taylor Decker's rated all PFF for 2 weeks in a row. I still think we can do better at left tackle. Okay, he's terrible. Okay, and I'm a firm believer in that.
You are the waffle maker because all off season and in general, I get you hyped up on this team. You're positive, and then the minute they do something bad, you flip and you just start ragging on all the obvious negatives after they happen. So that's your waffle maker.
I thought Taylor Decker sucked last year. I didn't call him anything great. I never said he would be anything great. So don't waffle maker me on that garbage because I still think he sucks. I thought Jared Davis sucked last year. I thought he sucked coming into this year. So yeah, he still sucks. So
okay, congratulations.
There's two guys have been harping on forever, but you get mad at me for that. I mean, because
Grifka, can you listen to me for 1 second?
Why are you getting mad at me for pointing out the obvious? I don't get it. I'm not the one missing the tackles. I'm not the one holding people. I'm not the one with the false starts. I'm not the one not covering the running backs. I just pointed out and you get mad at me. That makes zero sense. I'm not the one doing it. I'm not the one missing those plays. So why are you mad at me? I just pointed out to you.
You keep saying no sense, 0 cents. Can you listen to me for 1 more second? I get mad at you for what you just did. You just ran down everything that player has done not well. You totally breezed by the fact that Taylor Decker for the past 5 weeks has been a top-rated tackle by a group that all they do is watch every play of every football game. So my problem with you every week, all the time, probably for the rest of my life, is that instead of for those times when they are playing well, you can say, Oakrey, I think Taylor Decker or Jared Davis or whoever your other whipping boys are playing good now. Grifka, note to Grifka, that doesn't mean that you now love that player. That doesn't mean you now have the Oakrey glasses on. That doesn't mean that you now have to buy their jersey. It means that you're being somewhat of a reasonable person where instead of you being loving that person, you can at least acknowledge they've done good things. They're highly rated for this period of time. You never, ever do that. All you do is rag on them. And the minute they make a mistake, you tweet it negative, you talk negative about the team. And then next August, when they make a few good moves, you'll be telling me how excited you are about this team, how you think they're going to do well, waiting until September when they screw up to then crush them again. So that's the issue, is if you're going to be a little bit back and forth, it's just common sense. If a guy plays terrible, there's nothing wrong with saying he played terrible. If a guy plays good, there's nothing saying he's good. I want you to go out on a limb and say people suck and stick by it to some degree, but sticking by it doesn't mean saying nothing or so blowing it off, saying, PFF said he had a couple good weeks. Who cares? He still sucks. Waiting 3 weeks until they make a crucial error in a ball game and then going on and on about it. That's the problem, because as rose-colored glasses, as you call me, I believe there's plenty of times on here where I've got frustrated with the team, frustrated with certain players, even though I still stick by those players and think we're better off with them than somebody else. Does that make any sense to you now or no? Because if it doesn't, then we might as well just quit the show. Because that's my big issue, is you can't see either side. You can't meet anywhere in the middle. You have to just be negative or all the time. And all I want you to be is reasonable and say, I hate Taylor Decker, but he's played a bit better, Oakrey. And then when he messes up, say, man, that was super frustrating. Taylor Decker, you're not that great. So I can hit the bell and we can move forward. Is that hard to do?
So you just want me to acknowledge when the guys I think suck, have a decent game. Is what you're looking for?
I would like you to say something positive at some point about people that you just decided you hated. Yes, when they play good football.
When they have a decent game. Okay. I mean, I can do that. I mean, that's not a problem. But, just as soon as I do, I'm going to hear the waffle maker statements out of you. It's just like, oh, you're waffling, you're starting to like him. No, I still think he's terrible. But, okay, if he played a good game, and I still think the Lions can improve in those areas with other people, and I guess that's where we differ, where I think we can get somebody better, but you're like, well, it's the devil, we know, we can live with it. We can go spend our money at other places. That's where I get hung up on it, because you think because they had a couple good weeks, they're proving it. I think we can go get better at those positions. You're like, well, no, we can go spend our money someplace else when we've already invested this in them. So we should stick with it. But it's just like, that's what I can't stand. I mean, I guess I've seen mediocrity and crap plenty of years where nothing bugs me more than when somebody never demands it, where they're like, they just kind of look at it and they yeah, he had a bad week, but I still think we're okay with them. Well, no, there's better out there.
Grifka, that's my take. My thought on a player doesn't really do much for you. All I'm saying to you in life and on the podcast right now is I barely ever see you be positive about anything. Like, so I'm telling you, to some of the players on our favorite football team, as well as in general in life, acknowledge the positives sometimes. Like, don't just tweet out 6 negative tweets and then say, but I love the Lions, because your actions speak louder than words. So yeah, you don't have to love my thought of team building. You don't have to love a player. You don't have to totally change your mind. But all this, like, never acknowledging when things are going good, or like the waffle maker again goes back to being roses and then being Eeyore for the whole season. Like, that's why you get that moniker, because you almost can't just sit there and acknowledge regular football. It's like, you're never going to give Jared Davis credit. You're never going to acknowledge Taylor Decker ever makes a good block. And that's what frustrates me, at least. And I'm sure the Detroit Koolaid drinkers out there is a little bit of in the middle, as well as sticking to your guns on certain things. That's what we're looking for. It's really not that hard. I mean, I go to bat for tons of players, and then I still go on here or talk with friends and say, Justin Coleman can't guard anybody. What the heck's going on? But he's still a guy that I think helps this football team. He's a guy I was still back saying he's a lot better nickel corner than Nevin Lawson. Do you see where that's at least somewhere in the middle and somewhat reasonable, rather than
do you ever demand?
He's a dusty rug. He's terrible. It's like, he's not.
Do you ever demand these guys to be better? But I never hear you say that. You're always just like, oh, okay, yeah, I had a bad play. That you never demand better. I mean, I used to get in this argument with people about Matt Stafford all the time. It's just like, gosh, he just had a bad game. It's terrible. And he's like, oh, you think he sucks? No. And they're always like, well, he's the best quarterback we've had since, Greg Landry or your Bobby Lane. It's just like, no, I think he's good. I just want him to do better. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with demanding people to do better. I used to get in the argument with people about Calvin Johnson. It's like, oh, you complain about this guy having so many drops, and he'd pull up his numbers like, look how many drops Calvin Johnson had. I'm like, I'll live with one drop when he's going up between 3 people and making a touchdown catch. I'll live with him dropping a pass, because he's going to be the guy that gets the ball chucked to him. I can't live with a guy who makes like, oh, he led the team with 6 tackles. But okay, so he made 6 tackles. But he didn't do anything spectacular. He didn't make a run-stuffing stop on a 3rd and 1. He didn't make a key block. You can't run behind Taylor Decker on a 3rd and 2. That's my problem. You can get better. That's all. I'm just asking, be better. But everybody's like, well, they had a couple good games, but they didn't do anything spectacular. There was a key play that was needed. And he took a wrong angle. He missed the tackle. You can't run 3rd and 2 behind your left tackle who's supposed to be your best offensive lineman. That's my issue. I just demand better because I've seen crap for a number of years. And like everybody keeps saying, well, just be patient. Be patient. Sorry, man. Sorry. No, I just demand better. It's all the people that would bash Stafford. I'm like, no, man. I just want him to be better. I think he's a good quarterback. I just want him to be better. That's it. I mean,
okay, and you can sell it that way, Grifka, but every time you talk or when you say that, I know I think this way, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people that think when you say I just want them to be better, what you want them to be is perfect, and when they're not perfect, you rag on them like they're the worst thing in the world. And my issue with you in your scope of either player evaluation or how you would build a team is that you look at a guy and see all their warts or see all their bad plays unless they're just balling out. If they're balling out, you're like, man, I love this guy. He's great. And there's a middle ground. There's like a spot where, of course, we want Matt Stafford to make all the throws, win playoff games. We've had that show before. But where I don't see anything from you is like, again, you're just bringing up a play like, oh, we can't run behind our left tackle on a 3rd and 1. That's one singular play that you have red marked with your big Sharpie or with your highlighter pen of, see, we couldn't do that, and we can't do that consistently, or that guy doesn't do that well. And you just sit on that moment. My problem is everything else that happens, I guarantee you're not watching these players on every play. So like the 18 times where Taylor Decker's over there doing his job, keeping a guy off quarterback, making good blocks, you don't see any of those 18. But you saw that one where he got offsides or he had a false start and cost us. So what I'm saying is that the totality is for like 90% of the game and most of the games this year, if you really want to break down the tape, I bet we could watch Taylor Decker on every play and chalk up many more times he's good to better than average. And there's going to be that 20% where he's what you say, not great, terrible, cut him.
Good to better than average? Good to better than average? Okay. Like I said, though, when you need something big, when you need that extra yard, when you need it's a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and you can't run that way. Sorry, he's supposed to be your offensive line. It's the same people that would complain about Dominic Raiola. I always thought Dominic Raiola was a decent center. You just could not run a quarterback sneak behind the guy, and everybody knew that, and everybody bagged on him for it. But it's just like the dude's a decent center. He's not bad. He's a good center. If the Lions cut him, teams would be lining up for him. I was a firm believer in that. But you couldn't run a quarterback sneak behind him because he was a smaller center. And I'm just saying, you can't run behind Taylor Decker. I just don't, that's supposed to be your best offensive lineman. You can't. You just can't do it. Like I said, he's an average player at best. But you want to lead me to believe that, oh yeah, well you can live with just an average tackle. That's the way all the tackles are.
I'm not trying to lead you to believe anything. You're taking me of like I'm trying to twist your arm to love the guy. I'm just saying you annoy the piss out of me because you don't act like he does anything well ever. And like these other guys that you've decided you don't like have never made a good play when really they make 80% good plays. You just only see the 20. And then you go on Twitter and only tweet about those 20 they messed up. And then you come on the show and all you talk about are the 20 that they weren't good at. And then when I say, well, what about this? They really seem to be good. And, oh, you're just blue sky. All you see is the positive. So it's like you paint me as only on the positive spectrum, and I'm calling you out as only being on the negative. There's rarely a show, unless the Lions are 4-0, where you come on here and you're like, you're talking about the good, and you're also saying, wow, this pisses me off. So, like, that's what I'm looking for, is just more of that medium because – like I said, I literally sat here the last few weeks and said, man, still waiting on that Grifka positive tweet. What do I see every game where I want to just break my phone in half? You just waiting until the game's over and then saying, "Oh man, this, there goes our coach again. Real good call, not using your timeouts." And then send. Oh, Taylor Decker, way to jump off sides in the crucial part of the game. Send. It's just like, man, I missed you. I guess on those touchdowns. I guess I missed it on the Kenny touchdown.
Part of the game. Like I said,
you couldn't tweet out, "Hey, what a great start by Blau. He's really playing well." You missed that one, I guess, right? You didn't see that, or you didn't want to acknowledge that part. You just happened to acknowledge at the end when they lost, and you could say how sucky they are. Is that all? Because that's all I see from you.
I've said it before that all I've said, there's nothing. The offense is not my worry. It's that defense that's been continually letting this team down.
It doesn't matter what your worry is.
Yes,
would it kill you to say, "Wow,
it's
great
fandom.
throw, Blau"?
You can't tell me how to be a fan. I don't tell you how to be a fan. Don't tell me how to be a fan. It's the defense that's killed us this year. So yeah, I'm going to rip on the defense just like 1,000 other people. Thousands and thousands of other Lions fans. Sorry, it's the defense that's killed this team this year.
And I see those other thousands of fans that will actually put out something when something good happens of like, "Wow, Blau played better than I expected. Wow, this team is a couple pieces away. Hey, I think they should keep the regime." Only things I see from you are when the chips are down, when somebody screws up, or when we lose a football game, you fire off that negative tweet and you're done, or you come on here and you want to point out. And it's just like, I'll never understand it. Like, again, I really don't care when you call me blue skies, because I know that I lean that way, and I also know that I have takes that are more down the middle. And it's like, I rarely, if ever, except like I said, in the preseason when you were on board with me, 12-4, better roster, like where we can beat all these teams. And then the minute it started going south, like that's all I hear from you. So like I say, this should be another 5-part show, but I don't think it would kill you to lean the other way a little bit and go, "Hey, man, we started that game good, but man, we lost it down the stretch because of this." Nobody cares if you call out like the reasons you think that we lost or the reasons that you're frustrated by, but
what do you mean nobody cares? Just because you don't care doesn't mean nobody cares. I hate when you paint that broad brush. Nobody cares. No, just because you don't care doesn't mean nobody else cares. I mean, because there's plenty of other fans that feel the same way I do. And yes, there's plenty of other fans that feel the same way you do. I understand that. But you can't tell me how to be a fan. That's what it is. Don't tell me how to be a fan. If I hate a guy and I think he's terrible, and just because he had a good game, you need to point that out. Why? What's he going to do the next week? He's going to go back. If the game was an anomaly and he had a good game, fine. It doesn't mean that's what he's always going to be. And it's like, you need to point that out. Okay, if you want me to start doing that, fine. I'm still going to think he sucks.
You can do whatever you want. My issue with you is you're not one side or the other.
It obviously just makes you mad. Because
you're negative about everything. The sky is always falling, and that's what annoys me is the sky's not always falling and it's not always perfect. It's somewhere probably in the middle, but you paint it like that. I don't see any warts. I don't call out anything. I just love this team unconditionally and don't ever be critical. And yet I know that there's people out there, friends, listeners that would say, "No, that's not true." Like Oakley talks this, that, and the other, but yeah, he skews towards a positive because I don't know. His podcast is called the Detroit Koolaid Cast. And then there's many people that will say, "Man, no matter what happens, like Grifka waits to pounce on people or waits to say, 'Oh man, way to go, Matt Patricia, way to not use your timeouts,' when everything before that went well." And like, all I'm saying is like, I will never understand why all that stuff that goes well, it's like you're sitting there on your hands going like, "Okay, they scored a few touchdowns, made a few plays, whatever." And then like the minute it goes south, the minute something bad happens, it's like, again, that's why I would say you get excited about it when you're like, "Oh, now I get to bash them. Now I get to go after Taylor Decker."
You mean when they lose the game? What's the legacy of it? What's the legacy of it? It doesn't matter if they play well for 3 quarters and lose in the 4th. The legacy is still the loss. It's not like, but
there's
once again,
so
I said
many...
before, show me the column that shows played well for 3 quarters and lost in the 4th. It doesn't get them, once again, moral victories get you higher draft picks. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, so yeah, do you wait to pounce? Yeah, you wait to pounce to say like, yeah, I've seen this before. But once again, you're telling me how to be a fan. Don't tell me how to be a fan. And I know your friends have said it. We're just the same. We're just 2 different sides of the same coin. That's all it is. I mean, if you just want me to sit here the whole time and see like Johnny Blue Skies, like, yeah, they played really well for 3 quarters, and well, they really hung in there. This isn't a high school team. For as much as you're always like, well, they're pro athletes, they should do it. You're right, they should do it. They're pro athletes. I mean, you kind of drop that anvil like it's nothing. Well, they're pro athletes. Well, okay, they're pro athletes. Well, shouldn't they be better than that? I mean, be better than some of the stuff we've seen then? If they're pro athletes and we live with it. I mean, just that's all it is.
So let me ask you this, and then we'll close it up, because this is a podcast. This is a Lions thing. This is a sit on the couch. Let me ask you something, Grifka, because I'm super curious. So like you say, we're on different sides of the coin. Oh man, Oakrey's gonna see it this way. I'm gonna see it this way. Grifka, and you're in your everyday life, just at work, home, friends, family, whatever it is, and you got somebody in your life that is overly positive, always thinks like, hey, tomorrow's going to be all right, it's going to be better. You know, they try to somewhat paint things, you know, decently, especially for things they enjoy, you know, whether it be activities or family life or work, whatever it may be. You know, they paint those things that they have to sort of enjoy or get through more positive. Or if you have another person in your life that every time they wake up, they kind of have that aura that something wrong's going to go wrong today, or man, you won't believe what this one guy said to me, like, and it ruins their day. Or they pick out the one thing that they drop something that day that they shouldn't have, but everything else was glorious. Like, what would you choose? I mean, I don't get frustrated when people act like, oh man, you're too positive about the team, because I'd much rather be around that than somebody that is sitting there waiting for the Lions to screw up so they can say, see, same old Lions, these guys are garbage, SOL, like I've seen this a million times, like this guy should be in the XFL, he can't play. Like, what? I mean, that's my personal question, is like, that's why I guess I can't understand it, because it's a slam dunk obvious who I'd rather not only be around, but what kind of fan I'd want to be, and how I'd support my team. Is I'd much rather surround myself with the one side rather than a bunch of haters or people that are just like waiting for the sky to fall and then saying, see, sky fell again. Like, I knew it was going to happen. Like, whatever. Like, I can't wrap my head around that. And I don't know why, like, when I say, Grifka, do you know, like, this is how I view you, this is how you sort of sound, this is what I see from you, and you just act like, no, I'm just a realist, I just call it like I see it, or wow, see, I was right. Like, does it make it better? I mean, this is a real question right now. Like I always say, is this a real question? Like, this is a freaking real question on the podcast right now.
So are we talking like in our everyday life, or are we talking with Lions fandom? Because one, everyday life affects me. Lions fandom, I can like go to sleep and I'll be fine the next day. I mean, how the Lions play, win or lose, did not affect me and my life and my family and my job at all. It's just a game. So I can be a fan how I want to be, that however I want to be. Now, when it comes to real life, yes, I deal with a number of people at work that, you know, work in the positive, you know, positive mindset. Yeah, we'll be able to do this. We'll be able to do this. We'll be able to do this. And me and my job, I got to have the same mindset, because it's what I do. I mean, I know there's a lot of people on the podcast that have no idea what I do. I'm a production planner is what I do. Okay? I don't know if you know what the hell that is, but what I do is I have to plan on parts, get them on the machines, make sure they get done in time. Hopefully they turn out good. And then that's what I do. I have to plan every day. I live in the future with that, because I'm always looking forward. So I have to deal with engineers, other production planners, salesmen that have positive ideas. So that affects my daily life. Me being a fan of a football team, it doesn't. Okay? So yeah, I have to be positive at work all the time, because that's what my job entails. So if I've seen football being blown by the team I love over and over and over again, and some, you know, it's like, yeah, you're right, I'm going to wait for it to happen because I've seen it a whole bunch of times, just like thousands of other fans. And if you're going to continue to be positive, fine. I'm not telling you how to be a fan, but don't tell me how to be a fan. So yes, you want me to answer the question? I deal with positive people all the time, and it doesn't kill me. It kills me more when I have to, like, you know, go back and tell a customer, it's like, oh yeah, you're not going to get your part for another 8 months because we had to scrap out that. Okay. Yeah. Try that. Okay. And try to put a positive spin on that. That's hard.
Trying to put a positive spin on Taylor Decker having a decent week. Yeah, fine. You want me to do that? Fine. I'll do it for you. But I still think he sucks.
Okay, I think you sort of missed my analogy, but also like
no, you didn't.
What annoys me?
In real life, you said in real life. Are you going to let it ruin your day? No, when something bad happens, yeah, it ruins my day. But watching the game, no, that's not. If I missed your analogy, it was a crappy analogy.
All right. Thank you for that compliment, buddy. But
you started with the real life question and went to the game. Well, I'd rather hang out with the guy. What are you asking me? Are you asking me like sitting here watching a Lions football game? Are you asking me in real life? Because your question started out in real life.
Right. Well, the point of the question, Grifko, was to say, like, if you had your choice and you're at work, you say you're positive at work, but now somehow, like, this team doesn't affect you, my initial reaction is to call BS on that, because you've told the people that you had your tension headaches, you had all this stuff with this team. Now you're on this podcast. We talk Lions 2 times a week. And then you give that answer of that you've divorced yourself from the want to see this team do well, or that they're not going to impact you, when we all know they freaking impact you every Sunday when all this stuff happens, whether you want to admit it or not. So everybody sort of knows that, whether you maybe not at the degree it used to, or however you want to downplay it. But that's first of all. The second part of the analogy was, do you want to surround yourself with positive people when you're out in your day-to-day or with your family and friends, or do you want to be around a bunch of people who say, man, Grifka, you suck today. Like, well, why'd you mess that up? And you look at them and you go, but I did 10 things right. And you're like, but you messed that up. I mean, wow, you're real good. No, you wouldn't. You'd want to be around people that at least saw the 9 things you did well and can still tell you, man, I noticed that one thing you might want to get a little better at, or maybe you need to work a little harder, or maybe that was my fault, that I didn't set you up, or whatever the case may be. But you don't want people just killing you for that one thing. That was the analogy, is that in life, we want that. Yet here on the podcast or in your Lions fandom, you act like you want to be around all these druts out there that say, same old SOL, team sucks. Like, man, Taylor Decker, just throw him away and get another tackle. Like, that's annoying, except for when you say it. You act like it's great, a great take or some amazing thing you said, when if it's obvious, everybody already knows it on that play. But, you don't have to be positive about every player, but just this constant, just dark cloud, I call it, on things just drives me up a wall sideways. And I know if you had 10 people in your life like that, you wouldn't want that either. You'd want some positivity as well as just some, hey, acknowledge my good stuff. Don't just crush me every time I screw up, because nobody wants to hear that or listen to that or be around that. That was the point of the whole work/life/Lions fan analogy I was going for, is that we all know what we want, but you always spin it as it's just reality, Oakley, or I'm just calling it like I see it. And really, it's just the same old thing every other SOL fan does. That was my point. That's why we're 40 minutes into this talk, because it's just, you can be a fan however you want, I guess. You can tell me I can't tell you how to do what. I'm just telling you that on Twitter, on the show here, and different aspects, you just wait to pounce on the littlest thing or the guy you don't like, instead of saying, hey, he's been a lot better the last few weeks. Hey, I'll tip my cap. And then when they screw up, say, see, Oakley, I told you he can't block on 3rd down. I think it's much more skewed than you think your way, instead of the people thinking that, oh, I just don't know football and I just come on here, oh, the Lions are perfect, I love the Lions. I don't think that's the way people view my takes. They definitely think I'm drinking that Detroit Koolaid more than you. But I just think, if you could tweak your ratio, instead of maybe 90-10, maybe make it, 70-30, 65-35, I think we'd all kind of be better off for it. And so would you. You'd be like, man, this positivity ain't bad. It's actually kind of a better way to go about it.
Okay. You still there?
Pack the bags, start the plane. This game is
Drink it in, man.